Hi everybody, this is Sage Lewis from Web Marketing Watch. This week we are looking at Google Apps. It is this centralized location for a bunch of tools for your business or organization. It ties in all of the really big Google tools like Gmail, Google Docs, their calendar, their Google Talk, all of that, and it's all centralized in one location for your organization. And yesterday we talked about Google Sites, which really was the impetus for starting this week's video series, because Google Sites allows you to do a whole variety of things to create intranets, extranets, individual pages for your own personal use, for your organization, for the whole world to see. It's really a great tool. But you might say, well, Sage, I've been watching all week, but how the heck do you get started? Well, that's the super cool part, all right? First of all, you can go to Google and just type in Google Apps. It's APPS, and it's the first listing up there. They've got a sponsored listing and the whole deal. Or you can go to google.com/A, and that's the URL for it. And you're going to come to this page here. And then on the right-hand side, you can see solutions for businesses, schools, students. You want to pick what you are. All right, and then over here on this page, there's two getting started. Make your existing messaging solution more secure. This is more advanced over here. Just do this get started button right here, and then you come in, and then they'd ask you if you want the standard edition, premier edition. Just get the standard edition. If you're brand new to this and you're a small business, all you need is the standard edition, all right? Because it's free. And you click onto that. Now, this is what I wanted to take you to. So to sign up for Google Apps, enter your organization's domain name. And then it says right here, what is a domain name? It is the identifier associated with your organization's email address. Now, it's not like if you use Time Warner for your internet access, it's not that, okay? Like if you're Bob's Apples, okay, you might have a domain called bobsapples.com, okay? And if you do, then you come down here, and I want to use an existing domain, and you can say you're the administrator or you're an end user. It allows to do either of that. And then in there, they're going to send you through a process where you have to verify that you're part of the domain, but it's step by step. It's super easy to do, and it's worth it, because then it validates that you're part of the organization, and then that domain is tied into you and your organization, and you can use all the different services. But the other thing is, I want to buy a domain. You can do that, and they're $10 a year, okay? So Google Apps is totally free, but if you don't have a domain because you're Bob's Apples and you're like, oh, I didn't get the domain, well, just come over here and you can search for it. You just come down here and you click in there and you just type in Bob's Apples. We'll just put in a bunch of letters like that. You'll do a check for availability, and it says, oh, look, Bob Gibava is available. And it costs you $10, and then you continue with the registration. And then that's really the hardest technical part. In a way, if you don't have a domain, Google Apps is even easier, because it just ties all of the services instantly into that domain, which makes things really easy. If you have an existing domain, you certainly can use it, but you do have to validate the domain. And if you want to tie Google Apps into your domain, so like you want docs.bobsapples.com or mail.bobsapples.com, you have to go into your domain register and add some settings in what they call CNAMEs and MX records. And don't let that scare you. Don't worry, because Google does a great job at stepping you through that entire process. But it is an extra step. But you don't even need to do that, because they give you other domains as well. You don't have to change to those other domains. You can use the domain names that Google has provided for you, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you want something a little tidier, you do have to modify these MX records and CNAMEs, and don't worry about it. Don't let that scare you. But the great news is, if you don't have a domain, you just come over here, you pay your $10 a year, You have a domain, and now you have your email on your domain. Now you're Bob at bobsapples.com, and your entire Orchard staff has their emails because they have gigs and gigs of email space. You have a centralized calendar. You have a centralized instant message. You have centralized documents, centralized spreadsheets, and now you're building out websites. You're building out intranets, extranets, websites, everything. It's amazing. It's amazing. Super easy. $10 if you don't have the domain. If you already have the domain, it's free. Google Apps is free. The domain name is $10. If you don't have a website, I'm talking, you know what, the small businesses and particularly restaurants. I know there are a lot of restaurants out in the world that don't have websites. And man, that's terrible, because you know what happens? When people travel into your town, you know how they try and find out where they're going to eat? They go online. They go online. That's what they do. And you are nowhere to be found. But now, with Google Apps, you can be found. Please do it. There's no excuse now. It just takes a little bit of time, zero money unless you don't have a domain, and it's $10 a year. You can handle that. Just save your, it's $1 a month. It's less than Sally Struthers asks. You can do it, okay? All right, please do it for me. Get yourself a website. If you don't have a website, this Google Apps is for you. All right, everybody. Tomorrow we're going to finish up Google Apps Week. I hope you're enjoying this week so far. This is Sage Lewis from Web Marketing Watch, and happy marketing!